it carries on like that, could he be the right man for the job?
Of course he can. I think on Manchester United board to put him in at the end of the season. I know they've been there with Ole before.
Tuesday morning when you get the phone call, of course you say yes without thinking. I just smile when I think about Man United.
That was Paris 2019.
How do you see it going? Is there any chance for United, Ria?
There's always a chance, it's football, so...
But you don't really think it's going to happen, do you?
I'll be very surprised.
Yeah. Well, it looks like mission impossible for Manchester United.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer beats PSG. Emotion takes over, and a club still chasing its past makes a decision it can't undo.
Yeah, but, listen, all you've got to... Man United might not thank me, but get the contract out, put it on the table.
Manchester United. The situation we've got here, Marcus Rashford against Gianluigi Buffon. We are in stoppage time in the Parc des Princes, and Marcus Rashford is about to have one of the biggest moments of his life. Oh, he smashed it in! What a penalty from Marcus Rashford! Manchester United with another glorious night in the Champions League.
Let him sign the contract and go. Ollie's at the wheel, man. He's doing it. He's doing his thing. Man United are back.
Now fast forward, Manchester City beaten, Arsenal beaten, different man, same badge, same interim role. But this time, the tone is different. Caretaker until summer, temporary solution, United still searching.
So I think it's right that Michael Carrick, to be fair, keeps the job to the end of the season, hands the baton over to a Thomas Tuchel, a Carlo Ancelotti, someone of that world-class still. That's what his job is now.
So here's the question that hangs over Old Trafford right now. Is Michael Carrick being judged on his own work, or is he paying for a lesson Manchester United learned the hard way? The final whistle didn't just signal a victory, it signaled a resurrection. Within a week, the landscape of English football had been tilted on its axis. At Old Trafford, the blue half of Manchester was sent home in a daze, dismantled 2-0 by a team they no longer recognised. Days later, at the Emirates, the league-leading Arsenal was stunned into silence as a dramatic 5-goal thriller ended with Manchester United standing tall, 3-2 winners. These weren't just results, they were statements of intent. They were the kind of performances that used to be the club's birthright: fast, vertical, arrogant, and clinical. And at the center of it all stood Michael Carrick. He didn't beat Pep Guardiola by a stroke of luck, and he didn't topple Mikel Arteta with a smash and grab. He outthought them. He abandoned the tactical rigidity of the past and restored a structure that felt both modern and ancient. He didn't park the bus. He invited the world's best teams into a trap and then sprung it with the ruthless efficiency of a prime Ferguson side. Think about the contrast. Under previous regimes, United looked like a collection of expensive parts. Under Carrick, they looked like a machine. Against City, it was the suffocating discipline of the 4-2-3-1, using Brian Mbeumo and Patrick Dorgu to stretch the pitch until it snapped. Against Arsenal, it was the resilience to come from behind and the sheer United audacity of an 87th-minute winner from Matheus Cunha. And yet, as the fans poured out of the stadiums and the pundits took their seats in the studio, a strange question began to circulate. Not, how far can Carrick take them, but rather, who should United hire next? This is the Carrick paradox. He is a man who has lived his entire professional life being overlooked. As a player, he was the silent pivot in a team of superstars, the man who did the work so Ronaldo and Rooney could take the headlines. Now, as a manager, he finds himself in the same position. He is winning matches with the tactical clarity of a master, beating the top two teams in the country back-to-back, but the world is still looking for a bigger name. Why? Why, after a decade of failure with elite managers like Mourinho and Van Gaal, is the man who finally restored the DNA still being treated like a guest in his own house? To understand why Carrick is overlooked, we have to look at the ghosts he is fighting, the CV he carries, and the modern obsession with the super manager brand. To understand the skepticism surrounding Michael Carrick, you have to understand the trauma of 2019. When Ole Gunnar Solskjaer took over as interim manager, he sparked a sugar high that culminated in a miraculous night in Paris.
Bottle. Oh, he smashed it in! What a penalty from Marcus Rashford! Manchester United with another glorious night in the Champions League!
The board, moved by nostalgia and a sudden burst of form, gave him the permanent job. We all know how that story ended. The Solskjaer ghost haunts every decision the United board makes today. There is a deep-seated fear that Carrick's current run is just another interim bounce, a temporary release of tension after the departure of Ruben Amorim. Pundits and fans alike are terrified of being fooled by nostalgia again.
Persuasion who will be getting carried away. Could you have imagined when he took over, with those two fixtures looming, City at home, Arsenal away, that he'd come through that with 6 points?
No, not on any front. Not on the front of getting the points, not on the front of seeing the levels of performance. No.
But this comparison is inherently flawed. Where Solskjaer relied on vibes and individual moments of magic, Carrick's United is tactically disciplined. The shift back to the 4-2-3-1 against City wasn't an emotional choice, it was a mathematical one. He identified that the previous system was leaving the half spaces open for Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva to exploit. Carrick closed those spaces not with United's spirit, but with structural positioning. By pinning City's fullbacks wide and tasking his pivot with zonal strangulation of the half spaces, he rendered City's most dangerous weapon spectators in their own derby. Against Arsenal, he showed the other side of the coin, the ability to adapt. When the press failed, he didn't panic. He adjusted the height of the line, forced Arsenal into wider, less dangerous areas, and waited for the transition. It is this midfielder's vision, the ability to see the game 3 moves ahead, that separates Carrick from the vibes of the past. Yet, the old boy label sticks. Because Carrick was part of the coaching staff under both Mourinho and Solskjaer, he is seen by some as a relic of the past rather than a vision for the future. He is overlooked because we confuse familiarity with mediocrity. We assume that because he was there during the bad times, he cannot be the architect of the good times. Then there is the CV. In the modern game, the pathway to a top 6 job is expected to be a vertical climb through elite European leagues. Carrick's path went through the grueling, unglamorous trenches of the EFL Championship with Middlesbrough. Critics look at his 3 years at Riverside and see a decline. They see a manager who took a team from 21st to 4th in a miraculous first season, only to finish 8th and 10th in the years that followed. This is the ammunition used by those who claim he isn't ready.
He's going to be amazing. We've got to see that. At Middlesbrough, it didn't work out.
But look closer at the context. At Middlesbrough, Carrick was working with a churn of players. He would develop stars like Chuba Akpom or Morgan Rogers, only to see them sold for profit. He was managing a development project, not a title contender. During his time in the Championship, Carrick earned a reputation for being tactically rigid. He insisted on a high possession, playing out from the back style, even when he didn't have the personnel to execute it. This is the great irony. The very thing critics hated at Boro, his refusal to compromise on his philosophy, is exactly what United have lacked for a decade. At United, he finally has the tools for his vision. At Boro, he was a master carpenter trying to build a palace with a blunt saw. At United, he has the finest marble in the world, Mainu controlling rhythm through short combinations, Bruno and Casemiro reconnecting midfield lines, Martinez and Maguire anchoring a fearless defensive core, Dorgu unleashed as a direct weapon, and Mbeumo supplying the vertical punch that punishes any hesitation. The Middlesbrough drop-off wasn't a failure of coaching, it was a limitation of resources. But in the court of public opinion, a 10th place finish in the Championship is a stain that no amount of derby wins can easily wash away.
And at what point did then it become irresistible that Michael Carrick has to become a really strong part of this conversation about United's future?
I think if United win every game from now till the end of the season, I still wouldn't be giving him the job.
Why?
I just think they need something, a bigger, more experienced manager. Simple as that. Carrick could win every game. Timing coming into the job was fantastic for him, and he said he's enjoying it. You enjoy management when you're winning football matches, of course. But I think the size of the club and the challenges they face over the next few years, because really, I know I've heard Jamie Carragher mentioned the last few weeks, you want a manager you feel will come in and get Man United winning league titles. Are we all going to sit here and believe Michael Carrick can get United winning league titles?
Well, we've only got evidence of the last 2 weeks.
I know, but that's still not enough for me.
He isn't ready. He only has championship experience. The Manchester United job is too big for a man from Middlesbrough. We've heard these lines before. Every time a manager arrives without a glamorous resume, the same voices appear, the same gatekeepers, the same self-appointed authorities of credibility, the CV police. They tell us football is hierarchical. That experience must be collected in the right order. That the jump from the second tier to the Champions League is a canyon too wide to cross. But football history doesn't listen to resumes. History listens to results.
Experience and, you know, all of these different things, but we can look back to the history of the game, you know, and young managers who knew the DNA of football clubs. When Guardiola went to Barcelona, he was Barcelona B manager. When Zidane got the Real Madrid coach, he was Real Madrid B manager. Hold on, but they didn't have big jobs. They weren't like world-class guys. It was...
Think back to 2008. Barcelona, the biggest club in the world at the time, handed the keys to a man whose only managerial experience was one season in the Spanish 4th Division with a reserve team. His name was Pep Guardiola. He didn't have a single minute of top-tier experience. He had a philosophy, a vision, and a deep-seated understanding of how space moves. Now look at Xabi Alonso. Before he dismantled the Bundesliga with Bayer Leverkusen, where was he? Real Sociedad B. 3 years in the Spanish 3rd and 2nd tiers. No elite experience. No big-name pedigree on the touchline. Michael Carrick hasn't just matched these paths. He's arguably survived a harder one. Unlike Pep or Xabi, who started in the relatively protected world of B teams and development leagues, Carrick went into the trenches of the English Championship. The Championship isn't a lower level, it is a tactical meat grinder. 46 games a season, high stakes, constant pressure. Managing senior professionals with their careers on the line, not just kids in a reserve squad. When Carrick arrived at Old Trafford, he didn't arrive green. He arrived battle-hardened. The common thread between Pep, Alonso and Carrick isn't their resume. It's their position. The deep-lying general. As players, they were the architects of the pitch. They spent 2 decades seeing the game in 360 degrees. Carrick is overlooked because he doesn't shout. He is doubted because his journey wasn't glamorous. But as he showed in the Manchester derby, tactical intelligence doesn't care about your CV. It only cares about the next pass. If Pep could conquer the world from the 4th division and Alonso could conquer Germany from the B teams, why are we still questioning the man who mastered the hardest league in Europe? The Championship wasn't a step down. It was the laboratory where Michael Carrick became elite. We live in the era of the super manager. In 2026, a manager is expected to be a brand. Pep Guardiola is the philosopher. Jurgen Klopp was the heavy metal rocker. Jose Mourinho was the villain. Michael Carrick is Michael Carrick. He is quiet. He is polite. He doesn't give box office interviews. He doesn't create viral moments on the touchline. In a world that rewards noise, Carrick's silence is mistaken for a lack of authority. There is a prevailing belief that Manchester United, a club valued in the billions, needs a heavyweight at the helm. There is a psychological need for the board to spend £15 million on a name manager to prove they are serious. Hiring Carrick feels too easy. It feels too cheap. But this obsession with the brand is exactly what led United to the tactical confusion of the last few years. Every time a new elite manager arrived, they tried to reinvent the wheel. They tried to impose a style that didn't fit the club's identity. Carrick isn't trying to invent a new style. He is restoring the one that already exists. He understands that United's identity is built on verticality and bravery. He isn't a head coach looking for a project. He is a custodian who already knows where the trophies are kept. Yet, because he doesn't have a philosophy named after him, he is viewed as a secondary option. As we look toward the end of the 2026 season, the evidence is becoming impossible to ignore. The January derby win wasn't a fluke. The subsequent wins against Arsenal and Manchester City weren't interim bounces. They were the result of a man who understands the geometry of the pitch better than almost anyone alive. Michael Carrick is overlooked because he makes it look too simple. He has stripped away the overcomplication of the Amorim and Ten Hag eras. He has put players in their best positions. He has told them to look forward. He has brought the fear factor back to Old Trafford by refusing to be afraid himself. The CV says he is a championship manager who was an assistant coach. The reality on the pitch says he is the first man since 2013 to make Manchester United look like Manchester United. If Carrick wins a trophy this season, the board will face a choice. Do they chase the global brand, the next big name from the Bundesliga or Serie A? Or do they finally admit that the answer was standing right in front of them all along, wearing a quiet smile and a tracksuit? History remembers the winners, but it often forgets the architects. Michael Carrick may be the most overlooked man in football, but if he keeps winning derbies, he won't be an assistant for much longer. He will be the man who did the impossible. He brought Sir Alex Ferguson's football into the modern age. The question isn't whether Michael Carrick is ready for Manchester United. The question is whether Manchester United is brave enough to trust the man who actually knows the way home.